Hello, people. How are we doing? I'm Lord Phylax.
I'm Badger.
There we go. Um, and welcome to the first stream for WorldCryUK. Um, this is going to be very freeform. It's a stream that is mainly to talk about tournaments, recent and upcoming. Talk about the scene in general, and just have like conversations around the hobby and wherever it really takes us. Um, so, just to open up um, with a few basics, um, you're on Warcry UK, warcry.uk for upcoming events, coverage, and tickets. Um, I thought it would be good to start by talking about UK Games Expo and how that was, how it went, and all of that. But to start, just to mention again, I'm in the middle of editing. I'm learning how to do DaVinci Resolve. It's the kind of thing where you have to, if you're getting into all of this. So I was really happy with the work Warcry interview. There we go. I need to make sure I pronounce that right. Um, it's been received quite well, so I'm quite happy about that. And it was really good to see that there were no complaints about audio quality, stuff like that. So um, it all seems to have worked pretty well. So yeah, really, really happy with that. So I think the next one is going to be even better because it's going to be the video from UK Games Expo where I have all the openings and all the closings from the 2 days. Um, but to begin, um, Badger was helping me run the entire thing. And how many Warcry Games events have you been to before that?
That I've been to, there will have been Tabletop Scotland last year and the Glasgow Feeder event.
Yeah,
So very limited in terms of actual events. Very limited in terms of actual games played, to be honest. But it's uh, it's an easy scene to jump into, which is a big thing.
yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like how you found it and how it was for you. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think, similar to a lot of, I think, from what I saw around UK games as a whole, to be honest. And from the Warcry community as a whole. It was very relaxed in terms of attitudes, not necessarily in terms of play styles. In terms of, yeah, people go there to win, but it's not like there's big bucks on the line, so everyone is very forgiving. Um, I mean, probably, yeah, I can't think of probably approaching 20 Warcry games or something to suddenly be jumping into. Yeah, it's one of those games you spend a lot more time theory crafting than actually playing, I find. Um, but uh, I'm still at the stage where you learn something every match, um, and certainly every event you'll find a little quirk in the rules or something that never occurred to you to check whether you can do. Have you found a weird little edge? So, or someone else is coming up against it. For me, it was, I think the big takeaway was monsters. I hadn't come up against monsters yet, so running
yeah.
into a Hydra was painful for my men, fun for me. Um,
Mhm.
and it was still an incredibly close match. So
Yeah.
I guess for a bit of context, in addition to helping to run it, I was the spare body, so we didn't have a buy situation,
Yes.
so that we didn't have anyone sitting out and getting a default win 0 points. Um,
And I really, really, really appreciated that because um, last year's tournament was good, but it did have that kind of odd number of people, and it was just not. It was fun for some people because they got to go around and see the convention, which is absolutely understandable, but
Yeah.
it made a lot of weird kind of like situations where like you have two people having the same. It's a whole thing, right? But you have to be very careful about buy points and stuff like that. And I wasn't. It was my first big tournament, so I just kind of
Yeah, that was
put like a
Tabletop
win.
Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put like a win for a buy and kind of left it at that. But to go a bit back to the Hydra, did you use any of the generic monster hunting abilities?
No, no, I didn't. And
Did
that
you
was
know that was a thing?
I knew they were there. I had them
Okay,
printed out somewhere. But in the hype of everything, I didn't have time to sit and learn them on the fly.
that's fair.
Um, I also, my tactic was don't engage him. Was
Yes, that's
essentially
fair.
the plan
Well,
because,
I mean, you were
yeah,
playing Dark Oath, right?
yes, I was
So
playing Dark
stuff
Oath,
will die like
and
super easy.
it was fun because I was going in. The rest of his army was skink. He was playing the Hunters of Hawaii with a Hydra.
Yeah,
So I'm like, ignore the Hydra, kill the skink, take the treasure.
yeah,
Uh, and as I said, that came down to the final round. It was one treasure changed hands because I left somebody within the reach of the Hydra Dragon Maul. That basically that move decided the game. That I'd underestimated how close he could get to me.
yeah,
And well, it was I should have activated that fighter and pulled them back first, instead of getting greedy and chasing another treasure, which I probably wasn't going to get anyway. So yeah, it was literally one treasure swing.
that
That
apparently
decided that
happened
game.
a lot.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. It's particularly with the triple points on the final round.
yeah,
Um, if I think that triple points at the end of round 4 for a treasure, does make it a bit more swingy in that sense. You can't rely on a lead built up earlier
yes. Well,
as
the
well.
thing is, you're talking about Pillager's Loot, and Pillager's Loot as a mission is an adjustment from Loot and Pillage, which as a mission uh, had basically the same layout, but you only score at the end of the game,
Yep.
which is, I think, even worse. Um,
Yeah, that is
yeah.
rough,
So it was,
particularly yeah, for the lighter, uh, the more papery factions. I imagine that's very difficult, rather than going for control across game.
well, I mean, it incentivizes you to then go in and start killing as much as possible. Like there's no, you have to last the 4 rounds. You can't pick
Yeah,
up the treasure. On the first edition, it was uh sorry, I just completely lost my train of thought there.
the first mission of the tournament.
No, no, it just slipped out. It just completely went. No, I was
That's right.
just gonna say like loot and pillage. Yes, sorry, it incentivizes you. You have to at last. Sorry, yes, first edition. The actual rules that you didn't have any downsides to picking up treasure, so
Yeah,
you could just go and pick up the treasure and just run away. But now, because of the minus to the movement, and you can't disengage and you can't fly, there's a lot of restrictions which has made it age a bit badly. But I don't know. I might be mixing it up, and it might have not been a first. It might have not been a first edition mission, but you know,
I mean,
it's all
we'll fact check
jumbled
that
up in
later,
my
right?
head. Yeah.
We'll fix it in post.
Um,
That's fine.
but yeah, just to say hi to Peach Trees,
I was
and
gonna say that's a very good comment actually there from Peach Trees. Now that I've
yeah,
got Discord up, saying that having a reserve is nice because I guess people don't want to buy a ticket to risk not playing. I
absolutely.
think that's absolutely correct. I know Phylax, you were saying that having a buy, people got to go around the tournament. What actually ended up happening, I played the first 2 of 4 matches, and then someone dropped out because they wanted to go round the convention. so I didn't play the last two matches. So yeah, it meant someone still had the option of doing that, and no one else is suffering for it.
Yeah.
And equally, if it went the other way and somebody had to pull out for something, yeah, we don't then have someone who came excited to play 4 matches, being stuck on the seat. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was. I think it's definitely a nice way to do it. But yeah, and having someone inexperienced at least means there's not. I say relatively inexperienced of playing. There's not a huge risk of a reserve taking a podium spot or something. You want to
Yeah.
offer an actual challenge without being.
That's it. Because when I was playing last year, I very much did the thing where I had to turn around and play. I played J Doublisk, and not only did I play J Doublisk, but I played J Doublisk in a way that it just kind of really tanked their win rate, and
Yep.
it was mentioned here and there in tier list videos. I think it was Dan that was saying, "Yeah, don't worry about the performance. Someone's been running as a staff bot," and I was like running a really bad list.
Yep. Yep.
Also, Mike's in the chat. Loot and pillage was a rumble pack mission. 100% correct, but it might have been designed with the first. Rumble Pack was very close to the launch, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just kind of
Had it in the chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just kind of went, oh yeah, no, this. Oh no, the new rules, damn. But in general, I think they've struggled to release really good treasure missions in general. So
Yeah.
But yeah, but you are right. It wasn't a first edition mission, but also, I don't know. Some of the
as close to day one DLC as we're getting.
yeah. I mean, see, the battle traits came in 2 years into the game, and it genuinely felt like some of them were just not. I don't know. It felt like they were still quite old. Some of them were not great, but
Yeah,
who knows? It's a bit the
battle
same
traits.
with yes.
Yeah, there's a whole conversation to be had around battle traits and design philosophies and which direction they're pushing you to play in. Particularly I think the Grand Alliance level ones are almost. I don't think I've ever had a Grand Alliance one actually matter in a game, which is
It's really funny because of the destruction one. I was actually reading it the other day because it is absolutely. Not only is it absolutely terrible, but also it brings up something that isn't made very clear, and that is the role of cover in melee.
Yeah.
So cover in melee is a thing.
Yes.
Because there's no.
It's so often forgotten.
I sat and actually read through the rules line by line to try and figure it out. And it says that there's no figuring out cover. You go closest to closest point on the base. And if it goes through terrain, it goes through terrain, right? To be able to hit, you have to have a visible enemy. So you can hit through something that has you can hit through the first edition terrain, which is wild, because it's you have visibility because you can see through the chain, but I can't see how an axe would go through that. But anyways, that's not the point. The point is you can hit through terrain if you are within an inch and you have visibility in any way, shape, or form. Your opponent still gets cover.
Yep.
Unless, because there is the thing, unless it is more than an inch and you are within half an inch of that terrain, which means that if your opponent is 2 inches away and you have a spear and you're right up against the thing,
yep,
then you don't get the the toughness boost, and it's just so nitpicky.
Yeah.
Even though you literally have 2 lines and you just have to kind of sit down and go through the different paths, but I kind of love it for that.
Yeah. I think like a little peek around behind the corner. I've been playing around with the kind of how would I write a skirmish game. Having read plenty of rule books from various games, and trying to come up with ways to discuss cover, visibility, line of sight in particularly in a game with verticality is incredibly hard. You can start writing it and then find yourself 3 lines in being one step away from a trigonometry lesson.
Yes.
And
You say this, we actually had to sit down and figure out the. So because the I played the game with Andy, Andy Morris, and we had to figure out which point, how big the disc of overlapping of the bubble was on the first level when the objective is like, I think it was like 1.5 inches or 1.8. It was one of the trees. So
Yep.
we're just sitting there trying to figure out the actual like radius of the circle of the imprint of the 3D space hitting into the ground, so
Yep.
that we could figure out how close to the tree
spheres
we
on
had to be.
platforms.
Just
Yeah.
Also, Mike, yeah, that's exactly the thing. So you only ignore cover if you're within 1/2 inch, but for ranges over 1 inch. So for ranged attacks and for stuff like spears or the 3-inch like maces and the balls of chains and stuff like that, like you ignore cover for that as well if you are outside of 1 inch, which is just hilarious. I just love it. I know we were talking about how kind of janky it is at times, but it kind of does make sense in a weird kind of way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually love it to bits.
There is an extent to which I think most games end up picking some um, arbitrary cutoffs for cover, particularly with respect to verticality and things.
Yeah.
It's kind of got to be done. What's Toast saying? Yeah, absolutely. That I'll censor a little bit of that, but yes, that battle traits, poor quality in a lot of cases, but
Yes.
great in concept.
100%. No, it's
The flavor aspect of it is for a player.
Yeah.
Is incredible.
Well, there's always the balance, right? Because you have all of these bespokes, all of these teams, and the compendium teams and all of that. And you have the factions, and there's nothing disincentivizing you from taking the best ally. There's nothing disincentivizing you in destruction, or there wasn't, from just taking like the it's not the
Put
butcher.
Gobblepalooza and everything.
Yeah. Like just taking the best ally, stick them in, and then just change the garnish.
Oh, you think of the guy with the pot?
No. It's the Ogre tribes. It's not the butcher, but it's it's the one that's like 3'6", 5'10".
Yeah.
And yeah, there's no reason not to take him, unless you're playing Iron Jaws, and then you have a battle trait that really helps you be anti-horde. So
yeah,
Gut Lord, baby. That's the one.
That's fun. I think one of the things as well, having I played 2 matches against Skink. One of them was the Hunter Country. One of them was Seraphon. That was on the tournament day. We'll jump onto the narrative in a bit.
Sure.
Having looked at that was my first time actually sitting and reading the Seraphon battle trait, and having the options in there, I thought it was a really good way of taking a faction where it's a single faction in Age of Sigmar, but there's a lot of diversity within it, as you want to represent. So having a modal choice there, and I would love to see that on something like Skaven, where obviously old world you had all the different clans. They've largely been melted together in a way in Age of Sigmar, but there's still, I think, some significant character there.
Yeah.
It would be great to see that, I think, represented. Particularly when you've got so many models in the list that you could easily build a list for which certain battle traits aren't relevant within a faction. Um, yeah. Um, and that's kind of without jumping onto certain battle traits that just didn't work at launch. Again, but that's very much
That's a whole nother thing. But I was gonna
yeah.
say I'm gonna stop us from going down that path because it's already half past.
Yep, yep.
So and I can see that Toast and Mike are in the chat talking about some of the battle traits and what works and what doesn't.
Yeah. So we
So
kicked off a chat.
yes, which is always good. But I'm gonna move us on to opening up War Tally.
Yep.
And this is the point where normally, and if I was a bit more prepared, given all of my preparation time went into making sure that OBS worked correctly. But I was just going to say, I had a very quick look onto a lot of the tournaments from this year having hit about the midpoint of the year, near the midpoint of the year. Sorry, past the midpoint of the year. And no, actually, it's the end of June, right? That's the midpoint of the year. So we're still like a week away. Yeah. So we have had.
Trigonometry.
I know, right? It's
What's your degree?
Don't. We don't want Glasgow Uni to realize that they gave me a maths degree with how I'm I'm carrying myself.
We know maths doesn't actually have numbers in it.
It's just philosophy with numbers. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But no, I was just gonna say I had a very quick look, and we have about 45 tournaments this year so far, which is really good. Quite a few of them, obviously, are the TTS League, and that's something to discuss about. For people that might not know, the TTS League is the tabletop simulator league that runs at the Discord server, the Warcry Discord server that you can find through the Reddit page, the Warcry Reddit page. And it has casual and competitive pretty much every month. Mike's in the chat to tell me if I'm if any of this is wrong and if anything has changed. I usually try to be in it because it's kind of evolved to being the international league, sort of, and that's where you have the best of the best duking it out. It is incredibly it's an incredible learning experience when you go in because the level is just really high, and it's on every month. And I will say, go into it prepared to be humbled, but also you will learn a lot. You will learn how to play this game. You will get really good, and you will know how it is to be on the top tables.
Yeah.
So,
I've not played in that yet, but it does sound like a lot of fun.
It is. It's also the fact that like a lot of the really good players are also absolute sweethearts. So, it's really good. As you said before, like no matter how high up you go in the tournament scene, everyone's just really, really nice, and that's one of the reasons why I went from never having played Warcry, never having played Warhammer, to playing Warcry, to going into tournaments, and then to doing tournaments myself, because it's just fun to hang out with these people. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
say it's one of those things. You spend enough time on online gaming spaces, you get a fear, I think, about going in to in-person events. Certain games have just developed just memes of toxicness. Games Workshop themselves have tried to deal with some of their toxic fan base at times. I've
yeah,
actually think, as far as a corporation goes, they've been fairly clear cut in where they stand on it, particularly given their fundamentally punk beginnings. Not that you necessarily know it to look at the products now, but I mean,
yeah,
Space Orcs still are just guys in the mosh pit, so they're still there. So
yeah,
the fact that Warcry, I think, very much embodies a community level, that same kind of openness and like everyone can be represented. I say that a lot of the people we could talk about. There's diversity across the various game ranges. Warcry is possibly more dad's kind of middle-aged time.
yeah,
It's a great game for that kind of I'm stuck at a desk need and I'm thinking about what I can play. One of the things I want to point out was just how welcoming everyone's been during a time where I've been getting to grips with like my own, I'll say, disability, kind of just learning about that. So I would find myself at tables with my hands shaking, very worried that people are going to be like, you have all these finger of God um, memes from tournaments gone past where people have got super sweaty. And I have never had a problem at the table with anyone being like, hey, no, yeah, you knock that terrain piece over. You are clearly trying to throw the game. It's actually been people just being like, dude, just chill. Like, there's no pressure here. Yeah, take your time. And that's taken me from playing a game just with you in a room, Phylax, to I can go down to local scenes, to hey, I actually want to try and help run a tournament. And that has kind of been entirely the community base. That's exactly it, Peachtree's social
yeah.
spaces for tired dads.
Yes, that's my argument when I go to book community spaces. I'm like, this is providing vital services for dads across the UK. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, 100%. And Mike just said it. The game doesn't start till we hook a tree on the sleeve. My
yep,
first tournament experience, um, round one, I played a wonderful guy from Italy, and it was Warhammer Fest, and it was on the graveyard terrain. Fantastic, you know. I had a good game, won the game. I sat down for round two, and it was the first time I played on the meat trees, and I am like stressed, like my hands are going like that. And I sit and I look across from me, and I see Off Meta Musings, friend of the channel, friend of the show. And I genuinely was so stressed the entire time that I hooked the trees like 4 times. I think I did it once around.
yep,
And like, oh, Alex in the chat. Here. Um, and it was like I was mortified. And he was like, it's fine. I
yeah,
don't it's okay. And also playing someone who you see and you take his advice all the time was like really stressful. And that's another thing to say, that like the YouTube scene, like all the people that are making content for this game, whether it is it's all the people that I have on my channel, like Off Meta Musings, War Games on Toast, who's in chat, and Long Run Hobbies, who is Alex from Southampton, who's been putting more videos up. Dan oversees the Salty Sea. Like, people are putting a lot of content out, and they're really nice to meet
yeah,
in person and talk to. Like all the guys from Three Heroes One Chaff as well. Like, um, just lovely, lovely dudes. That
yeah,
are more that are probably gonna give you some advice if you ask, and like tell you cool things about the game rather than do weird YouTube stuff. So
yeah,
uh it's nice. But again, I've taken us down another path, so uh, it's
Okay.
just. Oh,
I was
yeah,
good, John.
sorry.
Did we want to pull back to the war tally thing? Because I just quickly pulled up a pivot table. You're right. It's 45 tournaments total. 10 of them
Alex,
online.
you are
So
a treasure.
10 of
Okay.
them online is the kind of the most prolific. But then you got 9 in the United States. Spain, Poland are still doing very well at 5. Spain on
Nice.
6. The UK, we've only got 3 listed, which I think I'm not sure where everyone else is logging their tournaments.
So
But
there is a possibility that there are tournaments that are locked onto Best Coast pairings, but I'll be honest, I don't. Um, I think it's more likely that people will be. I just forgot that I was presenting the screen. Uh, let me swap over to this while we're chatting. So, Best Coast, I genuinely just haven't seen that many people use it because it's just kind of not super intuitive. And that's something to mention. If you're running a tournament, please, please, please do it on Mortally because it's as a TO, I'm telling you, and that's an endorsement. You can put my name on that. War Tally makes like running game so easy. It does most of the work for you, and it also is incredibly customizable. But yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna say most of the Warhammer World tournaments are on Best Coast pairings, and there's a few here and there, but like maybe a couple of. Okay, no, that's quite a lot actually. Well, not
yeah,
as many as but 5, 8, 14, 17, 20.
I'm afraid I haven't managed to pull their data yet. Well, next time I'll come back with the pivot tables
18,
once more.
and
Yep.
I do love there's some of them are in both, but I was just gonna say, like in general, this year we've seen some really good, really good tournaments. The year started with 3 Heroes, One Chaff, Warhammer. There's the ones in Copenhagen, Denmark, which I think is Trolls. Yeah, Trolls. That's running them.
I didn't realise there's people running in Chile.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we've got quite a spread on the scene there.
So you have dance tournaments over, I think, in the Midwest. They will tell me in chat.
Yeah, I've just got them
Yeah,
all labelled as US, so not.
and yeah, you have obviously Norcry is like a staple. Norcry is a big one just across in. Yep, Dan's in Minnesota. Yeah, Midwest. Awesome. Yeah, Norcry staple, absolute staple of the community. And
I know there's some tournaments occurring in Australia, aren't there, that aren't logged.
yes,
So it'll be
absolutely.
interesting to see where they're reporting. But the fact that we've got
They are not. But I
they're
have
not
been talking
reporting, so
to the organizer about getting some of the stats on because it
yeah,
is super interesting that they have regularly, like semi-regular tournaments. I think they have tournaments every couple of months. Um,
yeah,
and they are like 16 to 32, which is a decent number of people. You're going to have a decent list variety, and all of those stats we don't get. So I'm like, please put them on.
ooh,
However, I say this without having put any of the narrative stuff on. So
yeah.
but
I
yeah,
will
I
say,
think. Sorry, you go.
I think one of the great things on War Tally, being able to jump in and see what lists people are running in a tournament and what result they got for it. I think that's great, just for getting a feel as an outsider who's not going to all the Warhammer World things, who is maybe doesn't consume as much
Well, I
detail.
was gonna say, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but there is a meta report that gives you a lot of stats. It does have Splintered Fang on the top faction by win rate.
Is that one that comes from Warcom?
No, that's from
No, that's
War
from War
Tally.
Tally.
So
Okay, I was going to say, because I know the meta reports for other games come out, but
they do.
yeah.
But this one is off of the stats that are in War Tally. However, top 10 factions by win rate does not have any. It's by win rate solely. So if someone's played like 4 games,
so one incredible player with Splintered Fang, and no one else touching them. Yeah, it's one of those MI issues that we could go into, couldn't we?
Oh god, yeah.
About would you rather have, yeah.
But then there's other ones like the most popular factions being, Soul Blight, Skaven, Iron Jaws, makes sense. True Boys, more tribes.
I think that really does speak to people being able to pick up take their Age of Sigmar models and run them in Warcry.
Oh yeah,
rather than just the one boxes.
So you never had that big of a jump from. Oh, sorry. I saw in the chat that WorldCry is not going to run anymore. I mean, it is the kind of thing where not having had any news in 8 months will kind of do this to tournaments. I'm holding out hope, and I do think that if an FAQ comes out, I think people are going to get back on it if it's like a decent FAQ and it's not like a couple of models, right? But sorry.
You've discussed it before that it's just a messaging issue at the moment. People perhaps getting the wrong vibe about where to invest their hobby time.
I mean, there's no stuff coming out. And I'm gonna have a super quick chat about this because this can go down a rabbit hole. But there's no Warcry warbands on the horizon that we can see, right? Some people are like hoping for a new edition. The 3-year cycle would probably give us one. I'm afraid of a new edition because of the simple reason that I saw what happened to Underworlds, and I wouldn't want something like that for Warcry. One would argue that Warcry is already simple enough that we don't have to fear it. You've got the
tension between: do you want it to go more simple or do you want it to go more complex? Do you want?
Yes.
And we, unsurprisingly, as a couple of guys who are on Twitch discussing the game, we like it as it is. You just want more content.
Yes,
rather than changing the shape of the game.
I think that there's a lot of. So this is a big conversation that possibly could go down, which is, does Warcry have reached its peak form? No, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of things that could be improved. There is a path forward if you want to improve the game. I think the game is simple enough to pick up, but you could build out a couple of bits. Horde gameplay, I think, is something that could be made more fun for both sides. There's other areas as well that I think would be pretty decent, but that's a whole nother discussion. And it's nice at least to have a game where you're like, it can get more complicated. And we're not just saying that. One of the common complaints that you have from other people, especially from Age of Sigmar and stuff, is like, oh yeah, Warcry is really simple. And it's like, okay, so there's space, but also it's easy to get into it. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is the thing Mike mentioned, that the new KO today look like Warcry models. And I would argue, I saw that, and immediately there was a Reddit post that was like, "Oh, is Warcry cancelled?" Because the new unit for AOS is looking like a Warcry warband, and it's like all of KO has thousands of options. So that's number one. That's nothing new. It's also a 5-person sprue. So it's a 5-man unit, right? Too small for Warcry. Even if it has like a lot of options, you won't be able to make more than 5 unless you're kit bashing. And that's not, they wouldn't sell you something where it was like, this is a 12-man warband if you're, just good with green stuff. So I genuinely don't think it's a Warcry warband. I think what's happened is GW have just gotten better at sculpting, because the whole point was Warcry models and Underworlds models were like really well sculpted models. So they're just learning and making the units more interesting, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, and in fairness, even if it starts as one thing and fluctuates around that spectrum, because we kind of know that GW, they design models. They're a model business, primarily. That's the biggest chunk of their money. Where it lands within their games is probably a later discussion after the concept art. So, I don't know. Without talking to someone involved in that process, you're never going to know. But,
yes. Well, that's one of the things.
You can't necessarily look at it and go, was this developed by somebody who's already been involved in Warcry, or who's there's a lot of ifs and buts there. But if you're just if the complaint is their models are getting too good across the board, I'll take it.
Yes.
It's
Mike saying GW would 100% sell us green stuff in a box for $80 if they believe it would sell. Like, honestly, yeah, I can see it. Just them going like, here's all the. I mean, there's so many units where it's like they give you 5 bodies and then enough stuff for 10.
Yeah.
And it's like, what am I meant to do? I'll just get another box, and then I have 10 leftovers. Like, it's wild. But
the answer is always a little blob of green stuff, chaos spawn.
Yes.
All the arms, all the tentacles.
Well, that was really interesting because there were a lot of lists. Let me just.
I saw quite a few chaos spawns at the table.
Yeah, there were quite a few, and a lot of it. Some of them were a bit kit bashed and stuff like that. So I was a big fan. But
I am actually just enjoying the fact that Dark Oath are now, because we're jumping back to look at the list. Dark Oath up at number 6 on the popularity already.
Absolutely, they're great models, and people just love that type of gameplay.
Gorgeous. Yeah,
and also the mechanic of the oath and the abilities like evolving.
Yes. My favorite thing, you have abilities no matter which dice you get. Like, I've never looked at a set of dice that I rolled with Dark Oath and gone, I don't know what to do with this. I can't use that triple. I've always got something to do. Getting all those doubles on the first round, great. These guys are now all oathed. There's giving your players options. Good. Who knew?
Yes. Well, I mean, it is one of the most recent ones, and that's one of the things. Like,
it shows. It really shows. They figured it out.
If there is stuff coming, if FAQs are still on the cards for us, which Toast said in the chat, and I agree. Like, until it's replaced or it's upgraded, I think an FAQ wouldn't be expensive. To produce. So like, I'm holding out hope that it's just like a delay or something, rather than anything else. But like, if they did, so there's KO stuff. There's so much AOS stuff coming out. And like, it would be really exciting to see Warcry versions of that stuff. Like for KO, it's really funny because KO don't have a lot of space. Like, there are already like absolutely chock full of units. So it would be really interesting to see what you could use those new guys for. But
there's a few factions that I look at and I go, you could possibly get the same treatment that you've got in, like, Khorne being split, and all the Chaos Gods, in fact, being split into demons and mortals. There's a lot of factions that I look at from Age of Sigmar and go, you could probably be a couple of different things. But equally, if they wanted to do that with the battle trait system, as they've done for Seraphon, yeah, there's multiple ways of going about that. Depending on how they want to push the list building. But
so so to steer us back, I'm just looking
the
at
eternal
stuff.
Refrain.
I know.
I'll just say Toast is totally right though. They won't cut themselves out of a market.
No.
You can just look at the family tree of like 40k Age of Sigmar. You got Combat Patrol Spearhead. You've got 30 Horus Heresy Old World. You've got Kill Team. What are they going to do? Put a big question mark there? No, they need something in that space.
Yes.
And given the current feedback on Underworlds, and I mean, just down to it, Underworlds doesn't feel that niche.
No.
So
no, I'm not afraid, and
they can't cede that ground.
Yeah, I'm really sad about Underworlds because it is one of the. No, I've caught myself. It's we're not discussing Underworld. I was
Especially
just gonna. we're not.
We could already go into the competitors that are gonna come through that space.
Yeah.
But
so
I say UK games. If you're on the fence about going for the Warcry, go to see every other game. Like, even if you don't like their rules, you'll love their models, or vice versa.
I left with Malediction, which is a what Underworld should have been. So it's a card game which is very Magic feeling with basically Warcry, but again, that's another thing. So I'm gonna just very quickly go through.
Out?
Huh? What's up? Oh, we lost Alex.
Hello.
Oh,
do you have
he's
me?
back. Yeah, I've got you.
Sorry about that. You know what it is? I bet my wife's just turned the baby monitor on. It shares the same bandwidth, the same channel as the Wi-Fi.
Fair enough.
So I have accidentally brought a Wi-Fi disruptor into my house.
Fair enough. I was just very quickly going to say Adepticon was really good this year, 32 players. You have a lot of tournaments here that have been really good. We've covered them, like the guys have covered them usually off Meta War Games on Toast. Sometimes we'll talk about them on the stream. Warcry 2025, great, fantastic.
Who's?
I'm not really sure.
Whose side is that coming from?
I think that might be coming from our. I think that might be coming from our mystery guest.
That is. Can you guess which port he's near?
Well, I am very smart, and I haven't crossed the streams, so our chat hasn't heard this. It's just us, which is great.
We just look like we're having a moment.
Yeah, we're just looking like we're just hearing voices. But I'm gonna jump straight on to our mystery guest because we've had a lot of really good tournaments this year, really exciting stuff. I was going to say that the closer, not the closer, but like the further away we get from having any coverage and any attention from GW, the more it seems that tournaments are picking up because the UK Games Expo one was really good. We had 36 players. Warcry, there we go, had 42. And there is a sequel this year that seems to have picked up even more players even faster. So I'm going to bring in Alex, Long Run Hobbies, from the Southampton Warcry Club.
Hello, guys.
Skirmish Club,
Yeah, the rebranded.
rebranded.
I say Peachtree's. This is not my baby. I'm sorry for Peachtree's guessing that the mystery guest is in fact my baby coming in, but no.
But yes, Alex, welcome.
Thank you. Yet another Alex, all the best people called Alex, clearly.
I'm saying nothing. I'm not trivializing this.
Far more humble than you.
Oh no, Toast. I like bringing John Bracken on is for a future episode. I don't think I have the numbers yet.
The clout.
But yeah, Alex, talk to us. What's happening in Southampton?
Other than flipping cruise liners departing, which is the disruptive sound. So if that's on your bingo card, well done. I live right next to the terminals down here, so we've got as many as like 6 cruise liners like rocked up against my flat at any time, and it's just nuts.
That's wild.
You just had us looking like golden retrievers.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, honestly.
I was gonna say that means that if we manage to get Warcry, in the regular rotation for games played on liners, then you know.
Well, I mean, there is actually a place that did that. If you know of SN Battle Reports on YouTube, they're from Gibraltar, and they actually hosted, I believe, a tournament on a ship, which is just fantastic.
That's
so
cool.
if we could swing that, we're leveling up. Seriously.
Yeah, I can get hold of a dinghy.
Let's.
Well, I was gonna say I've actually. And Alex, you definitely know this. In the eternal search for venues, right? You're going around trying to find places that will not charge an arm and a leg for you being there for a few hours. There is a barge that is not far from a house. That is like a restaurant. It's been there. It's tied up on the Clyde, and it's been there for ages and ages and ages. So I did think that it could be a good venue.
It's now chat's mission to brand that tournament. So Battle Barge, I got no idea, man.
I know of at least one boat-based venue in Edinburgh that could be a feeder. We could turn Scotland into an entirely fleet-based community.
Is this where we crowdfund like a barge that can actually travel up and down?
100%.
Elrond Harbour did it. We can do it, right?
Right. This is turning into a cult, everyone. Thanks for joining us. But yeah, no. Yes. So, tell us about. Is it Storm in the South?
Storm in the South 2. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 2. We had much more modest success last year, but I guess the big story with us is we've sold out our tournament, the tournament that I'm hosting here in early August. 28 of 28 players, which has me completely flabbergasted and taken aback. There's like a long running joke in my club that with every tournament that I run, the numbers go up by 4. So the first tournament I ran in what was now a defunct Geek Retreat was 8 people. 8 people. War Tally didn't exist. It was Games Workshop had. They had their own tournament software, I think, in the back end of their site somewhere. It was just a very rudimentary pairing system. So there was me and a clipboard. That was it. And then the following year, I did a 1-box bespoke tournament. That was 12 people. Then Storm in the South won last year as won by ITAN. And his Spider Spam list, which should be a thing. No, that's Batman. Spider Spam, whatever. That was 16 people, and it was a good time. But then to somehow pull the cat out of the bag, got 28 people, 28 human beings from all parts of the UK, yourself included, Phylax. And now I can reveal 2 attendees from Poland, no less. The organisers of Warcry coming over is just absolutely mad. Initially, we had 24 spaces. The venue I thought could accommodate no more than 24, and I was saying to my friends, like in the club when I put this thing live, I was like, look, I'd be gassed when the whole thing is over to get 20. To hit the big 2-0, that would be huge for me. Within 24 hours, I had 22. Between 24 and 48. And I just didn't know what was going on. And I think it speaks to a couple things. I think it speaks to the appetite there is for Warcry right now in the current scene, and I think you're right. I think all this talk about it, dying an ignominious death, has actually helped boost its profile in recent weeks and months. And the other thing is, and I think I've got to give myself a bit of a pat on the shoulder here, but as do I, a bunch of members from the club. It's 3.5 years of us building this community down here, and I think the thing that I'm most excited about with this club and this event is that we've got the great and the good from the community, like yourself, some very competitive players, well known in the scene, veterans and victors of many a tournament. But at the same time, we've got people just wanting to have fun, rocking up. We've got a dad bringing his 8-year-old. They're going to be playing as a duo. It's just the best, coolest thing, and it honestly feels just like a celebration. It feels like a celebration of the game. It feels like a celebration of the community. And so sitting here right now, just couldn't be happier. Can't believe it's happened.
Absolutely. I think actually part of that you were saying about the newcomers coming in, watching the Tournament UK games, where you've got relative, not newcomers, but people who aren't the regulars on the scene coming through, winning tournaments. I think that's just going to drag more people in.
It's one of
no
my
one's
favorite.
unreachable.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things about Warcry, and just the first thing to say is it's incredibly well deserved, because I know how hard you've worked down there to keep things going through venue changes and things getting difficult, and interest has been going up and down, and I know this from my local scene. You're always really blessed to have a few regulars that are with you regardless. And then there's people that come in, and there's kind of seasonals, and to continue pulling in these kind of figures is a testament to the work and the consistency, really. So it is, it's really exciting. I'll be grabbing I'll be grabbing a train down to Toast, and then Toast and I are gonna go on a mad mad road trip for hours to make it. But it was great last year. Really enjoyed it. I brought Corn Bloodbound, and subsequently got battered by spiders on round 1. So that was
sorry about that.
Great morning. No, I mean it's fun. It's one of the things I really like about that list is that it's you never feel like you can't do anything about it, right? You always feel like there is a possibility, there is a path out, but it's Aitan gives that false hope before he just
snatches it away.
Exactly. So that's a testament to him being a good player, a great player. But I was gonna say, talk to me about venue, terrain, that kind of stuff.
Right. I'll talk about the second one first. I think the terrain thing is handled by the fact that I have what appears to be quite a bad obsessive compulsive disorder to buy cheap sets of terrain on eBay whenever I see them. And over the past 3 years, I've just me and this flipping tiny flat that I live in, I had enough terrain practically by myself to run these tournaments in the first few years. Though I'm aware I'm talking to you, Phylax, and you would flip even me, man.
Have. First of all, I'm bringing stuff with me, but when I come down. But also, I have. So Alex has terrain because I've been like, I can't fit this. You take this.
I am the overflow property for WorldCry.
Yes.
Much to my wife's chagrin.
Dude.
The the risk is that you also have the capacity to print even more terrain, and that's the scary bit.
And now you're advertising it to the general public. Oi, oi, oi.
Listen, the thing is, right? So you guys helped out with the terrain for UK Games Expo, because I can field 32 in a pinch, but we obviously went above that. We sold a lot more tickets, and we were unlucky to have a few dropouts. But
about the 10% attrition, which I think is
I think it's
typical.
reasonable. Yeah. But we could field all the way up to 48. And that was with your help and Itan of Metamusing's help. But it has made me feel it has put an additional urgency to to find more stuff on eBay, and make sure that I can field even larger things.
So I guess like the thing that's helped me out the most is that I'm not a one-man army. I've spent the last, what was it, 3.5 years, corrupting the masses, turning them into acolytes of Warcry themselves. So actually, a good half the terrain that we brought to UK Games Expo was not personally owned by me. It was owned by members of the club, who were super giving with their terrain and their time. Painted it up themselves. So yeah, the load is definitely shared, and that really helps. And the more the club grows, the more it can kind of self-sustain for exactly that reason. So that's a huge help. But I know that I myself, and I think a lot of TOs out there, they do need that additional support. Like, I'm not going to tell you straight that I can field all the terrain for 14 tables worth myself. I can't do that. Well, I could if I went completely psychotic, but I'm not going to do that. It's not worth it. So I am relying on the help of yourself and a couple of benefactors. But I think that's one of the really cool things that's emergent in this scene and has been appearing for a while now. It's kind of this mutual like support network. This trust fund of other like slightly crazed individuals who enjoy painting terrain, because we're in each other's orbit, and it's totally fine to like help each other out. So terrain, it's honestly, I never had a huge concern. I've actually had to turn people down with terrain, which is mad. Being like, we got it covered, guys. It's cool. You just paint your warband. I know you'll be up until midnight the day before painting that anyway. Don't worry, because we're all gamers.
Who does
right?
that?
Yeah. Who would paint their warband on a terrain to the actual event?
Several times. No, Mike already put in the chat, Phylax, do a painting stream for the train ride down. I'll have you know that I'm actually probably going to be playing something I've already painted. Because
breaking the streak.
Yeah. Well, it's the kind of thing where I've been so incredibly busy with every the Defiant and UK Games Expo and other future ones. It's a lot of time, and it's a lot of it's a decent amount of stress, as I'm sure you know yourself. So it's on top of that, trying to make sure you have like a new list that you also build and paint and do all of that. I think I'm gonna give it a pause. I think I'm gonna just play something from the past and hope for the best.
Yeah, I think that's very, very wise. You asked about venues as well, didn't you? That's more tricky. That is a lot more tricky, and I think it's okay to be, for me anyway, a little bit more transparent about funds. So what I should say to kick things off is, I've never, or the club has never held any funds for ourselves. There's no profit. Everything is reinvested into the event itself. Not even at this stage, the club. Everything goes straight back into giving the attendees the best time that they can have. So it is important to drive that cost down regarding the venue as much as possible, but to not skimp on comfort. There are basic amenities that people need. One of the foremost of them that I kind of malign to begin with is actually parking. You have to find a place with ample parking connections.
Yes.
That can be tough in the middle of a city, because you're basically levying another tax in a
Yeah.
way, aren't you? On
Yeah.
the attendees, so you have to be cognizant of that. But I think, I mean, obviously it's varied. I mean, what's the upper limit that Warhammer World has charged? Like 30? Is it 30? With lunch?
30. They've definitely done 35.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Which I do remember. I do remember. A couple of YouTubers came over from France, and they were mentioning that, you know, you play and you get nothing if you don't win. And I was like, in a way, yes.
But you get to play in the mecca of, you know, Warhammer World itself,
That's
right?
true.
That's the
True.
hook. Yeah.
But yeah,
You're paying
it
for
just-
prestige.
Right.
That's true. And the glass trophies are very good.
I mean, I wouldn't know, but
I mean, eventually. Don't worry.
who knows?
You go around his flat, just there as a doorstop. It's great.
Have one in each room? No, I don't.
Oh,
No, that's a lie.
wow.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
Not there
That's a
yet.
lie. And I can't wait till I see Aitan in chat just being like, I have several shelves. But no, it's all about getting your time right, because I went to the Warhammer World tournament right after Warhammer Fest, and there was 4 of us. So my half painted Iron Jaws did actually manage to score best painted.
Was that
And,
one of the weekday ones?
Yes.
Right.
And I was like, I was laughing my way through. I was like, I just stole this.
Like a thief in the night.
That's the expression I was looking for, actually.
I was just having a look around for the trophy. I think I've left it downstairs.
Oh,
From the narrative event, the little trophy coins you made, Phylax.
Yes.
Again, it was walking away with them, because I think you got to pick. You won for destruction, didn't you, Phylax? As the only destruction player.
No, death.
You won as death. That was it. You got
Yes.
to look at it and be like, "Oh, no one's playing death.
Yeah.
I'll scoop that award
Well,
by
I
default."
mean, it feels like a waste if you don't make sure that everything's used.
Given
you
out.
know?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was gonna ask, what's the plan? I mean, feel free to keep it a secret, obviously. But what's the plan for trophies? Do you have anything in mind? Oh,
preview.
oh,
Preview.
ooh! I love it.
Look, this is not special. A lot of you will know what these are, but this is called pre-planning. This is called I bought these on eBay 2 years ago.
That's smart.
Ooh,
That's
Cool.
smart.
the Warcry coins.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Warcry
you
coins from
recognise
season
them.
1.
Little slice of history there.
Yes.
So
go.
That's actually
there you go.
that's vintage.
That's
So-
great.
That's that taken care of, and I know that especially for kind of like people in the scene who know what these are. That's kind of cool, right? That's a
Yes.
little piece of history.
Yeah.
So, yeah, literally, again, that was dealt with ages ago. Because sometimes future Alex, past Alex, can be a friend. He's not most of the time. God knows my spending habits are absolutely atrocious, but that was worth it. Other things, yeah, I guess like prizes are an interesting one, aren't they? Because
Yes.
you kind of have like two philosophies. You've got one that's like, glory's enough. You know, the fact that it's enshrined on War Tally for some people and they can, you know, chat about it in Discord or Reddit or whatever. I mean, do you need to be giving people clutter? Do you need to be giving them certificates and trophies and all these kind of things? You know, is that not just going to go to the back of a bookshelf or be used as a doorstop or whatever? But at the same time, I think it is worth giving something, and I think it's worth giving something bespoke as well, to kind of enshrine the event. Again, like it goes back to it being a celebration of a community. And what I think is really, really cool about tournaments, especially those that are run kind of from the well springs of an organically developing community, is that they have a different complexion to them. They have a different scene that's going to coalesce. You'll see different players. And so I think that's something that memorializes that is a big deal. And then you've got the people who just go absolutely balls to the wall ape shit on this, and specifically calling out the polls from Warcry here,
Yeah,
who had more flipping, and this is all Rufus's fault. He's all flipping throwing us under the bus here because it's so. I died.
No, you're good.
Oh,
I
it's
swear
going.
my baby monitor does not stretch that far.
No, it might be. It might be. It might be my. Oh, my camera's died. But can you still hear me?
We can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so what I might just need to do is
It's back.
I turned
Oh,
it
no, you're
off
back.
and on again.
There we go.
Staying. If it dies, I'll just switch to my laptop monitor.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So the guys at Warcry, they had so many sponsors that they had more prizes than attendees, which is ridiculous. So they got these Kinder eggs, right? So you know that like the little poppy plastic things that the presents are in a Kinder egg,
Mhm.
and they had a number in every single one that was kind of assigned to each player. And so we all got one. We were all spooning around this big thing, and even by the end of it, we had too much stuff, and that's just amazing. But I think what I really loved about that is that they really wanted a reward for every single attendee who came along, kind of a thank you, not just for supporting our event, but also for supporting the system as a whole. Supporting our niche. Being the lifeblood of this thing, because without all those good folks out there keeping this alive, painting up their warbands, keeping the discourse going, there'd be no this. We wouldn't be on this call right now. We wouldn't be having this conversation, and I think the hobby would be much lesser for it.
Absolutely. I do wish every event could offer
Yeah.
that sort of like reward just for participating, really, because I know if you just shower those gifts at the top of the spectrum,
Yeah.
you can
yeah.
change the nature of the game, which I think for me, you wouldn't want it necessarily someone coming in super sweaty
Yeah.
because they want to win the prize. But if you can spread it across everyone, more power to them. I
Yeah.
wish we had the resources to do that.
Mm.
That was sorry. That's fine. I'm just putting up.
No, that's fair. I was
Advertising
just putting
Southampton.
I was putting the club
Yeah.
links in the chat. But yeah, no, I was gonna say that was why I was really happy that I managed to get like little doodads and measuring stuff here and there for everyone at UK Games Expo.
Yep.
Because it was like making sure that everyone left with something useful, especially with the curved thing.
Bespoke measuring widgets.
I realised I've actually described it recently to some people as like it's like I don't know, like bikers or like hard rock metal fanatics and like badges of like the bands that they see. Like I've got all these trinkets from different tournaments I've been to. Now I can literally say this now because of Poland, across the world. And I've got my like little hobby case. It's a pencil case that like a local artist made, and when I'm rifling through it, it's just a mishmash, a hodgepodge of like bits and trinkets that I've been gifted or taken from all sorts of places. Like I've got a combat gauge from the guys over in Bristol, who hosted that. I've got a wild dice, thingamajig counter collector sorter from Poland. I've got your measuring doodad from UK Games Expo. I've got literal wild dice that I got from Aldershot. It's awesome. It's absolutely great, and it feels like I'm carrying around the community in this little pencil case. I think it's great.
I think in some ways that's a lot more meaningful as well than getting a bespoke box or something, or a squad of something. I've seen events where like the winner comes away with a box for an army he doesn't play, or they don't play, and it's like, well, does this go on eBay? It doesn't. You should have just done cash. But doing something, a heartfelt little. This is something that you will remember the event by, and it might be useful. It might be a painting, little paint pot and painting mug. It could be, I think the measuring widgets were great because I'm always going to need more measuring widgets.
Jam Laddie 2 on the Twitch chat still drinks from the Warcry mug from the last Southampton event. So there you go.
Yes, that's limited edition now. No more of those were ever made. Through a whole different club, so that's
there you go.
Bury that in the back garden. Up on eBay in like 20 years, might be worth something.
Oh no, it's great. It's great. I'm really looking forward to it. It's somewhere in between now and Defiant at Tabletop Scotland. Can we have a little chat about how great it is to have this summer Warcry, where it's like, okay, I know that I've put on a lot of events. I am aware, but it's nice to to see that people are planning to actually show up to some of them, which is nice.
Yeah.
And yours selling out, and then knowing that there's a few more in the near future, and hopefully we're still owed one. So
Yeah.
Warhammer World puts on usually 3 a year. I was hoping that they would do more because they put 2 back to back. But I have a slight fear that they did that because they knew we weren't getting any for a while. So I don't know. We'll see what comes out. There's nothing until the end of August, which is nice, but I really hope they don't.
They look like they've got a busy schedule with all the new Horus Heresy and everything launching. So, yeah, other games taking on spotlight.
We don't need them.
We'll make our own community.
Well, I mean, right? Like it was. Yeah, I was hoping. Yeah.
If anyone can figure out how to make the cafe models work in Warcry, though, that would be.
Ooh, 100%.
Please, please.
Actually, if we could just do like an old world mod, just entirely.
Yeah.
Whoever's got like can take a sabbatical and spend 3 months to do that. Please go right ahead. That'd be great.
I think I've got a sabbatical next year.
We have a volunteer.
There we go.
My wife will be so pleased.
I was gonna say, like, if they're just such good models. And Alex, did you get to see the KO models today?
How could I not, man? They were. I opened the Southampton skirmish and bang, they were right there, and I was like, they're so good. They're so good. I don't have a thing for dwarves, but if I did, yeah, that would absolutely break me.
I thought I didn't.
Coming off the back. I know we
Clip
shouldn't talk
that
about,
chat.
I feel like we shouldn't talk about the other game in the skirmish, GW Space Kill Team, but I looked at, because of all the Kill Team stuff going aerial. I looked at the KO and went. I just had a moment of you could stick this on the Kill Team terrain. That would actually look on par with them.
Yeah, man. The new Votan models look sick.
Yeah. No, I wonder if they had 2 parallel factories for flying dwarves.
Yeah.
And,
well, listen, as long as it's dwarves and they're flying, I'm perfectly happy with that. But I was just gonna say, Carlisle in the chat has been thinking about putting a platform on the back of the Cannon Ogre and running them as Castellites. Very good shout. Very good shout. Depending on the height, I think they should be. Hopefully, the ogres across the line should be the same size, more or less.
Dynasty Warriors warband.
Yes,
That's
Mike
a dangerous thought.
Mentioned trying to make a Dynasty Warriors warband with the new Cathay stuff will for sure help fill it out. I will say that Mike is a legend in the narrative because he shows up with highly customized warbands and also shows up in uniform. So I think he did the ones that jump to mind was the Pokemon one, where it was, I can't remember who it was, but it was a warband that was all Pokemon, and he showed up dressed as Ash Ketchum. And then it was, the other one was the one where he had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes, I've seen this.
And also dressed as a Ninja Turtle. Gargoylians from Cities of Sigmar. There we go. And yes, the Ninja Turtles, the outfit was genuinely incredible. And yes, that's part of why I kind of love the narrative side of it. So I'm excited for the second day of Defiant, which I will mention a bit later in the stream, I think.
Look, I'll be honest, I've started a new exercise regime, and I won't say a small part of it isn't to cosplay Dark Oath. It's go down and represent.
It's not bad.
That's right.
It's not bad. We'll do we'll do the body paint and all of that. It's gonna be great.
And you obviously, Phylax, with your orcs, will get the green paint out and.
Oh no! Listen, I've already in another life, I cosplayed the genie from Aladdin, and that was enough of an experience of face paint for
Yeah.
a lifetime. Also, no one look up that picture. No one look up that picture. But it was great, but also a lot. But
Still a better genie than Will Smith.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but I'll take it.
And you'll never need to.
No.
Fair
It
enough.
goes Will Smith, Phylax, Robin Williams.
That's a good sandwich to be in then.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
High company ish. Yes.
So yeah, awesome. So I wanted to say like massive thank you for showing up and talking to us about Storm in the South and the club. I don't want to take up too much of your time and have you give away too many of the secrets, because I am very much looking forward to the second episode of my interviews, where I'll be interviewing probably someone in this chat. So we'll wait till the tournament is done. But if you're happy to spend an hour to talk about how it went and all of that, I'll be happy to have you. But anything you want to say for closing?
Yeah, I think I've always wanted to say this, and I'm going to say this again. If you've ever wanted to start a Warcry club, do it, because you can do it. It's possible. All you need to start, don't think about the club, just convert a friend. You just need one guy, because that's how I started. It was me and some random bloke, really nice dude called Pete, who replied to a Facebook comment. I was sending out hundreds, and from Pete, I've been able to start this community, and it's done all kinds of wonderful things for me and hopefully some of the people in it. So just take your time. It can be done. It's so worth it.
Wise words, and
Beautiful
I
message.
wholeheartedly agree. But yeah, thank you very, very much. And I think we might close it there. I know it's not been the full 2 hours, but I have a slight fear of going down too many paths, and this kind of devolving into rants and chat in general. So next time we do one of these, we're going to be a lot more prepared, and we're going to have some more stats on tournaments. We're going to be looking through lists. We're going to be looking through tournament packs, etc. So it's going to be more.
We'll get
packed.
Moneyball on it. Yeah.
We get what?
Moneyball.
It's a great reference. It's a great reference.
Oh,
They get
one
on
of the
base.
best, one
Get
of the
on
best
base.
sports/spreadsheet movies ever.
Okay, I'll need to check that out.
Netflix is your friend.
Awesome.
But yeah.
Well, thanks everyone. Thanks everyone who joined us. This will go up on YouTube. And just very quickly to plug once again, Southampton Skirmish Club, Storm in the South, 8th of August.
It's the 8th or 9th of August, something like that. It's the Saturday.
I've been Lord Phylax from WorldCryUK. We've got still events in the next couple of months. 12th of July for Road to Defiant Glasgow. 2nd of August for Road to Defiant Edinburgh. And then at Tabletop Scotland, we've got Defiant Day 1, the competitive, and Defiant of Ash and Memory for the Sunday. And that is 6th and 7th of September. You can get your tickets at WorldCryUK and at Tabletop Scotland's page. And
if you're not sure about playing as well, go to Tabletop Scotland anyway. Partly to say hi to us, and partly because
it's a great event.
I've loved the event every time it's been on. It's just getting better and better every year. So yeah.
100%.
There might even be painting competitions there. We'll see.
Might be. Oh, there's chats about it. So fingers crossed. But we will have another one of these episodes sometime next month, so we'll be able to talk more about all of that.
I didn't even get to gush about the Ravage Coast narrative. That we shall save that.
That is
So
very
that-
true.
yeah.
We will, yes, we shall save
That
that
deserves its own
for
time.
next time. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's been me, Lord Phylax.
Badger signing off.
And long run. See you in a bit.
See you, folks.
Get sore. Bye.